Fantastic. There it is. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Almost. Almost there. All right. Good. Everyone there? Perfect. I don't see anyone else in the waiting room. I'm going to shut that down for a second. All right, Ethan, if you want to kick the meeting off.
Okay, sounds good. This is the Town of Camden Planning Board meeting of Thursday, May the 6th, 2021. The first order of business would be public comment on any non-agenda items.
Anybody? Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we will move on to part 2. Site plan review, revisions to an approved plan, the Season Smiles application. Before I have Jeremy give us an update, we're going to go around and check with the sitting members and see if anyone has any conflicts of interest or bias. Chriso?
No.
No? Okay. Anita?
No.
Matt?
No.
Mark?
No.
Okay, so we have a quorum present there, 5, so we have 2 alternates in the wings, but today we won't need them on the voting side. So the voting members of the 5 I just read off, I have no conflicts either, just to be clear. Voting members will be Anita Rocha Scott, Chriso Ro. How do you pronounce your last name, Chriso?
Row.
Rowe.
Just like
Should
the
have
boat.
known that. Just like the Matt Siegler and Mark Siegenthaler, myself, Ethan Shaw. And we had a site walk for this application on the morning of April the 2nd, 2021. Chriso, were you there?
I was.
Anita, were you there?
Yes.
Mark Siegenthaler, were you present?
Yes.
And Matt, were you present?
Matt Siegel was there as well.
That's right. And I was also there. It's time now then to turn it over to Jeremy for his summary.
All right. Thank you. And just really briefly, just for everyone's, just to kind of get us back to where we are, why we're on Zoom, legislature in Maine and the governors, we're still under the executive order. So we're meeting via Zoom for the Camden Planning Board meeting. It's a public hearing tonight, site plan application for Dr. Medina's. I think it's what is it, 119 LLC or 100 Elm LLC. And we have sent notice to all abutters as required and posted the meeting as required. We have, and again, requested people to submit comments in writing by email or in any fashion that they can. We did get, and there is a member of the public that has joined us, and she's been entered into the meeting to provide some comments, I guess. Going from there, this is again, site plan application for Dr. Medina's project at 100 Elm Street for a couple of additions to his existing Seasons of Smile business. And it is required under Article 12, Section 1. The site plan review applies in this case. I provided you a memo that staff and myself have reviewed the submittal requirements and find that the application is complete. We also find that the application complies with the performance standards in the zoning ordinance. And before you is this project. And you will need to review the project for consistency with what is Section 6 of Article 12, which is the approval criteria. And those are that's how you guys review this project. If you find that it meets those criteria, you must approve the project. With that said, I will, I guess at this point, hand it over back to you, Ethan, and the applicant to do their deal. And then, Ethan, you will have to open the meeting up for public comment, since this is a public hearing. And then you would close that public comment period, and then the board can discuss the issues. Sounds good? Everyone got a understanding? Okay. And I would ask, Ethan, if you enter in the memo that I sent around, pretty much stating just what I just said, just enter that into the record tonight. Asking you to unmute, Ethan.
Mhm.
Oh,
There you go.
that would be helpful. Okay, so I guess Jeannie would like to enter into the record. Do we need a motion on this to enter Jeremy's memo dated May 4, 2021 into the record?
So moved.
Second,
Just
All in favor of entering the memo?
aye.
Got Mark, got Anita, got Chriso, got Matt, and myself too. Unanimous, okay? And that will be entered into the record. And I'll turn it over to the applicant, Dr. Medina and John, to go ahead and give us their summary of the application.
Okay. Again, after the pre-app and the site walk, there were several comments that were made, and in the package that I submitted for the final application, there is a sheet there that listed the various modifications that had been made and updates as a result of the pre-application meeting and the site walk. I think everybody has had a chance, or at least I'm assuming you've had a chance to read through the package as well as that cover letter that was included in the package. I think I have addressed everything, and unless there are some questions, I'm not quite sure what else to go over with you.
Well, typically we'd ask you to explain just in very cursory terms, since we're all familiar, but for the public and as well, just explain the nature of the project and the additions that are planned and that sort of thing. And you can certainly, is that Jeremy sharing his screen?
it is.
You can use the plans drawn there to point out things and whatever. So
Okay, not a problem. Again, the site plan, thank you, Jeremy, indicates at the bottom of the sheet on the left-hand side, that is the waiting room addition that is proposed to expand the waiting area. And then at the opposite end of the existing building, that is the primary addition for the working area. The plan shows the existing parking lot, and then the hatched area shows the expansion of the parking lot. Basically, we had an increase in the required number of parking spaces, which came out mathematically at 3.7 spaces. So I believe we added 4 spaces to the parking lot. The other issue was drainage. And we have a new catch basin that is shown on the plan to take the surface water and collect it and put it into an existing town drainage line that runs along the property line. Down in the lower left-hand corner of the site plan is where the existing sign is located. And one of the discussions that we had at the site walk was to redirect the lighting on the sign. Right now, it's causing some glare out on Elm Street, and we've agreed and noted on the plan that those light fixtures would be redirected to not have as much of the glare on Route 1 or Elm Street. And the plan does indicate existing and new landscaping around the perimeter, and that follows the requirements of the ordinance. The pre-app did not have all of the exterior elevations of the building, and maybe if Jeremy would go to that sheet. The intent here was to put these two additions onto the existing building, which is basically the rectangle sort of in the middle at the bottom elevation. So looking at that elevation, the waiting room addition is to the left, and the new office area and operatories is on the right-hand side. That is the view from Elm Street. Excuse me, the one in the middle is the one from Elm Street. The one at the bottom is the view from the parking lot. And the one in the upper left-hand corner is the view from Curtis. So, again, what I was trying to do here is to break the building up a little bit, give it a little more residential character, or continue the residential character, and have something that I believe fits in with the general architecture on Elm Street.
Great. Okay, thank you very much for that. At this point, we will seek any input from members of the public. Open the hearing.
Yeah, open the hearing. Thanks.
Open the hearing. Can I get a motion on that one? Does that require a motion?
Yes.
Yes. Second?
Second.
Got it. Okay. All in favor of opening the hearing, please indicate by raising your hand. Got it. That's unanimous. Raising my own hand. And we will now seek input from the public.
Did you read the public hearing procedure?
No, he didn't.
I did not, but I will. Thank you, Jeannie. Here's the procedure for public hearings. The following procedures will be followed for the public hearing process. 1, the CEO will introduce the application and explain why it is before the planning board. 2, the board will hear from the applicant or the applicant's representative, who will offer testimony and evidence in support of the application. 3, the board will then seek comments from members of the public who wish to speak, comments, or ask questions. Questions and comments will not be taken from the floor, so that all comments can be heard by those in attendance as well as those watching the broadcast or live stream of the meeting. Well, this doesn't really apply, we're on Zoom, but they must speak into the microphone and identify themselves for the record by name and address. 4, all comments and all questions of the applicant must be directed through the chair. The chair may exclude any irrelevant or unduly repetitious comments. 5, the first public comment period will be closed and members of the board will be given an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant and or the public. A second public comment period will be open for the purpose of hearing new and relevant information only. 6, the second public comment period will be closed, and if members have no further questions or comments, the public hearing will be closed. 7, the board will begin deliberation and, if applicable, review the approved criteria. There will be no further opportunity to comment from the applicant or the public. A board member may ask for clarification, but no new evidence may be entered into the record by way of testimony unless it was erroneously omitted. It is not appropriate for the public to interject during the actual decision-making process. And 8, the board will then vote to either approve the application, deny the application, or approve with conditions. And thank you, Jeannie, for the reminder.
One more though. You should find that you accepted Jeremy's memo into the record, but you need to either rely on that memo and you need to find that the plan is sufficiently complete to continue.
I was
Before-
about to do that. Yeah, I got you. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. So that is, we do need to find that the application is complete and that the applicant has standing. Do we have a motion on that?
So moved.
Based on,
Based on the memo entered into the record.
okay, and the testimony of the applicant? Does that work, Jeannie?
Perfect.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Matt with the second. All in favor of finding the application complete and that the applicant has standing, please indicate. I'll call you out individually here. Chriso,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and Matt.
Aye.
Also aye for me. So that is unanimous. We find that the application is complete and that the applicant has standing. And now we will move to the opening the public comment portion of the hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment or speak or ask questions?
All right. Ethan, I think you have one. And I don't remember the name, Mrs. Ingraham, I think, if she can at least identify herself and list.
I am Mary Catherine Ingraham. I'm known as MC, and I live at 5 Curtis Avenue. My home is basically directly across from the parking lot. I have a comment and then I have a question. I am very excited for you, Dr. Medina, and the new expansion. I highly approve of it if that's an issue. And the best part of it is I love the fact that you've rearranged the parking lot to face your building and to face the heavy hedge on the other side rather than headlights directly into my home. So I'm so excited about that. So if some of you know me over time, I have had an issue with the lighting on the building over the last few years. And so in reading through everything here, I see that the existing lighting will be modified. And it's like, okay, I'm looking at the site plan and I see there are 2 lights towards the parking lot, 1 light towards Elm Street, and the 2 lights on the sign. So if we start with the sign, you say you're going to redirect it away from Elm Street, which is wonderful. Are you going to head it down towards Curtis Avenue, or will it go straight up? Or will they be shielded so that they are the light, which are these LED lights, which are blinding, will go right on the sign and not everywhere else? So it's like, what will those lights look like? And the other issue is you say the existing lighting on the buildings will be modified or shielded down, which sounds great. Will they have LED light bulbs in them which still shine everywhere? So the lighting is my issue. So if I can get an explanation of what the lights will look like, will they just shine out and only shine and illuminate the property itself and not halfway up Curtis Avenue and light up the whole front of my house and my neighbors? So I won't be quiet.
All right.
Okay, thank you. I'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond.
Okay. In terms of the lighting, the existing lighting on the house or on the office, all of the existing lighting and all of the proposed new lighting will be in fixtures that I would best describe as cans, where the light shines only down or against the building and does not shine out across the street. My understanding of what we discussed on the sign lighting was taking the same light fixtures that are there right now and just rotating them so that they're basically focused on the sign. There might still be some stray light down towards Curtis Avenue, but I believe we're going to do everything we can to make sure that this light only goes on the sign and on Dr. Medina's property and not across the street.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Okay.
maybe I can chime in, Ethan, for a second, just on
Sure.
what the
The chair
performance.
recognizes Jeremy Martin.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ethan. So just to clarify what the performance standards are for lighting in town. And this is from performance standards. Generally, this is the environmental section of Article 10, Part 2, Section 1, glare. It says no land use shall be permitted to produce a stray dazzling light or reflection of that light beyond its lot lines onto neighboring properties or onto any public way so as to impair the vision of the driver or of any vehicle on that public way. So we do have teeth in our ordinance to ensure that Dr. Medina's project keeps his light on his property. The planning board in the past has indicated, I think every planning board meeting I've been, site plan review has indicated they want dark sky compliant fixtures in order to meet that standard. Now, if we just go out and understand what Dr. Medina and Architect Hansen are talking about, and I appreciate that, level of commitment to meeting the standard, they must meet that standard. So I think that of the approval that they do dark sky compliant lighting that meets the performance standards in the zoning ordinance. If something gets installed that we determine, and I mean, everyone's, best effort to meet these standards, if we determine and we go out at night and determine that there is stray light leaving and hitting abutting neighboring properties, that would be an ordinance violation, and Dr. Medina would have to correct that in some fashion. So I'm confident if that you make this a condition that he meets the performance standard, which he has to, and he used dark sky compliant lighting, I think we'll be in a good place to address MC Ingraham's concerns. Does that sound good and make sense?
Yes, it does to me. Thank you. And
Yeah.
The lights were off the other night and I saw the Big Dipper.
There you go.
Okay.
Does that sound good, John?
That sounds fine. I mean, that's our intent.
Yep.
No problem there.
Okay, that's great. Anita, this is not yet the time for board questions. You can ask in the next phase. So I want to just check back and see if there are any other public comments on the application or questions for the applicant. MC, you're all set?
Actually, it's not a big deal, but just a question about erosion. I don't know if this is, yeah.
Sure.
2 times during the last few years, the doctor's office has had to dig into Curtis Avenue for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But there's a dip outside the entryway to the parking lot on Curtis Avenue. And when there's rain, there's a huge pool of water. And I watched it yesterday, and we didn't have a downpour or anything. It was a drizzle most of the day. And that puddle of water the whole entryway of the parking lot there comes about halfway across Curtis, and people are, splashing through, but that roadway there, having been dug up twice, is still, it's kind of, I talk with my hands, I'm sorry, it's kind of broken up. So water accumulates there. So when all this erosion control and all that, will that come out onto Curtis Avenue, fix that problem?
John, do you want to comment on that at all? I mean, I will say, maybe I'll just comment, touch base on that. I obviously haven't seen it. If there's a problem in the road right of way, we will work with Dave St. Laurent. I mean, we had, and I'm going to bring this up in a little bit, and John Hansen is aware of this, and so is Dr. Medina, on the stormwater. We got an existing catch basin in here, and then there's a new one proposed here. There is some drainage issues in this area that we are aware of. And Dave St. Laurent, the Public Works Director, has been in communication with Bill Lane, the engineer who provided the stormwater calculations. Yes. And it sounds like we may need to put a new catch basin in here in the right of way, in the town right of way. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misspeaking here. That was the discussion that was happening, that we may need to do that as part of. And Dr. Medina, if you look at that plan, and maybe let me go back to that. Where's that plan?
I took pic.
Yeah, so here's a catch basin here. And I've been working, again, Dave St. Laurent, Town Public Works Director, and Bill Lane were talking about this. We may need to put another catch basin in here, that we've identified some issues in there, in that area, MC. And so it sounds like we may be putting another storm drain in to connect to this line, and then work with Dr. Medina to get an easement to maintain this line. Unfortunately, things happen over time, especially in small towns. This drainage line is a catch basin on private property that catches water from not just Dr. Medina's property. And then there's a new catch basin he's trying to go. But this drainage comes here, runs through multiple people's properties, and then out onto the next road. And none of that, there's no drainage easements. There's no easements that the town has for those. So we are going to work with Dr. Medina and Bill Lane, to the engineer on this, to try to get a drainage or a easement that allows us to the town to maintain this line, and to connect another storm drain that we may have to put out in here, MC, that may be the problem. So we're going to try to work with them to get this into here so that we can maintain this. Dr. Medina would put this new catch basin in and then allow us to maintain this system, because this doesn't not only benefit Dr. Medina, it benefits everybody. Water draining into this line, and there are no easements for the town to maintain it, but it's collecting lots of people's water. And so that's kind of the plan right now on that.
Okay. May I just interject here too? On my property, between my property and my neighbor there towards Route 1, there's a little creek that comes by, and then there's a culvert that goes under the road to that area. That first culvert, which is, I didn't think it was on Dr. Medina's property. I thought it was on the Cummins property, because it's got a grate. It's got a big grate there. But anyway, the runoff between these two properties, this little creek, I swear we're sinking. So
Understand. You can see it here. It's on Dr. Medina's property, and we're talking about potentially putting another one in that would to this. And we've got to make sure that this line is good. And we're going to work with Dr. Medina to make that happen, and try to get an easement so we can maintain this. This is a common issue on municipalities that have been developed over time. Towns put things in on people's properties just to make things work. And we need to continue that, only in a more, appropriate way that gives the municipality the ability to go in there and actually clean things out, maintain the line, make sure the line's functioning, because it benefits not only Dr. Medina, but it benefits everybody, municipality. So that's
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, MC. Any other public comments or questions?
John, did I get that right? I mean, that's your understanding of everything that's playing out?
Yes, no, you have that correct. There is a water issue at the edge of the road or on the road. It's all within the right of way. It's not on Dr. Medina's property. And we agree that, some additional swaling or a catch basin within the right of way would probably solve that problem.
Okay. And just to clarify my understanding, if there's an issue with a dip in the actual right of way in the road, that would probably be a matter for the public works there, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, no doubt.
Because I don't want to provide my own testimony, but I will anyway. I have driven down Curtis Ave and noticed that when you approach that stop sign, there is often a large pool of water there.
Yeah,
But it's in the road.
Yeah, it's not news to anyone. It's there, and we need to be able to connect that somewhere. And the only in order for us to facilitate that water to go away is to connect it to a catch basin. The catch basin that we would connect it to is on private property, and then we would need to facilitate and work with Dr. Medina to get that appropriately addressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just check one more time to see if there's any further public comment or question on this application. And hearing none, seeing none, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, none.
Okay.
Is anybody monitoring the YouTube chat?
I will check it again. I didn't see anything a couple of minutes ago.
No, I didn't either.
It's riveting television. Okay. Anything else? I think we're good, Ethan. Let me.
Okay.
Here.
We'll then close the first public comment period. And now it is the opportunity for the board to deliberate or ask questions, I mean. So if any of the board members have questions for the applicant or of Jeremy, this would be the time.
We got silence from everyone.
No, I've got a question.
There's
Okay,
two
go ahead,
hands.
Christo.
Yeah.
And Anita does too. Quickly, just to John and to Dr. Medina, I think this was discussed at some point earlier, but the parking spaces that come off Elm Street, those, I know there was one sort of there in front of that garage. Those are strictly employee only.
That's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
So that's not going to have lots of traffic on
No,
a regular basis trying to back out into Elm Street because you sort of got rid of that little turnaround spot.
right. That is strictly staff parking. It will not have traffic in and out during the day.
Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, is that it, Christo?
That's all I had.
Okay, great. Anita?
I wanted to bring a point back to the lighting MC was talking about on the sign. I know that when we were there and discussing the lighting, that the light is actually pretty well located in the fact that it's on one of the posts rather than apart from the post on the lawn pointing up to the sign. So it's pointing upwards. It's presently located on the post closest to the offices, the building. And the suggestion had been to move that light to the post closest to Elm Street. And that way, when it's looking up and away from Elm. So Dr. Medina had mentioned that it's going to be rotated, and I thought it was going to be relocated. from one holding post, sign holding post to the other sign holding post.
I believe it may be the wrong wording that was there, but I mean, we understood that we were taking it from the one post and
Yeah.
moving it to the other.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, well, I wanted to clarify that for MC as well, where the light is located, that it's not away from the sign but rather right on that post, so it's looking pretty much
Yeah,
up.
so it must be this way, yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, anyone else have a question for the applicant? I do have a question. Jeremy's been referring to the possible need for an easement for the drainage aspect, for the maintenance of it. Is that something that the applicant, I'm asking you directly, is that something that you're prepared to do?
Are you prepared to grant an easement?
Yes, I don't know where it is or what it is, but if it helps the town, and if it's not a significant cost, yes, please.
And let me maybe just chime in. I think, Dr. Medina, right now, I mean, if the town were to get that easement, we would assist in maintaining that line. And that, I mean, that's, I think, a pretty significant thing, so.
Yeah, we would be very open to that. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. We don't have Mr. Senders here for our stormwater analysis, so we have to trust the experts on this one. Does anybody have any issues or questions on the stormwater, which is a pretty complicated thing?
Can I just make a comment since we're here and talking about it before we get to approval criteria? Because I think it's, as you go through criteria, this is important. Dave St. Laurent, the Public Works Director, did review this. And just as, department heads for the most part review these kinds of projects and provide comments if necessary. Dave found that the existing roads can handle the proposed traffic. Proposed drainage system and off-site drainage infrastructure can adequately handle stormwater runoff with conditions. And those conditions would be approved with a condition of allowing the town to incorporate additional drainage, and this is that catch basin that I'm talking about out on Curtis Ave, from Curtis Ave to the stormwater line that runs across the southeast portion of 100 Elm, i.e. a stormwater easement to improve drainage. That's what the Public Works Director recommends, and that's what he had discussed with Bill Lane today. And I know Bill Lane and John Hanson had that conversation as well. And I did invite Bill to this meeting. John and Dr. Medina and myself don't think it's necessary to have him involved at this point. Dave reviewed it with this condition. We're happy that this will be addressed and stormwater won't be an issue. And we would make that a condition of the approval if that's okay, John?
Yes, I'm in total agreement with that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That does help clarify things a bit.
Ethan, I do believe that at this point in time, before you go into deliberation, that alternates can comment and ask questions. Once you go into deliberation, just in case either of them have expertise.
That's great. I appreciate the reminder. Andy or Pat, do either of you want to ask questions or comment on the application?
The only question I had was already answered by Jeremy about the stormwater and the one existing pipe, I think that Dave Laurent had to check on the line to Vernon Street, but it sounds like that passed and everything, Jeremy.
Yeah, with this condition, I mean, Dave could review it. I mean, we've got to get that easement and we'll be in there to make sure it's working, and Dr. Medina will be a partner in that initially, so.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I don't have any questions.
Or expertise?
or that, yeah.
Me either. Okay, so we will then, unless I see any other members of the board who have any questions or comments, we will close the board question and comment period, and we will move then to a second public comment period. If I can get a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody indicating aye. We have 5 unanimous. We are open again for the public comment, the second public comment period. Do we have any additional comments from members of the public?
May I?
MC, the chair recognizes MC.
Thank you. Talking about this new culvert or new whatever over on Dr. Medina's property. And we have an overview before we start digging on that side of the road of the whole Curtis Avenue from Route 1 down past the end of the property of Dr. Medina, because on our side, the runoff and that comes down there's all sorts of culverts that cross over and whatever. And it's like, before we do one side, can we have an overall picture? I don't want to complain 3 months down the road and after all this money's been spent on the other side of the road. So there, Mike. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's great. I think, you know, essentially we're limited for this hearing to the applicant's application and things on his side of the road. If you have issues with other public works issues on the other side of the road, that's something to take up with the Public Works Department. I'm sure Jeremy can help you with that.
Yeah, and really quickly, MC is trying to model most of our water drainage systems, and Dave St. Laurent is being very active and looking at our problems, looking at the issues. So I will talk with Dave. I will connect you with him as well. Like Ethan said, this is kind of beyond the purview of the planning board.
Right. Yeah.
But we certainly don't want to, I mean, we're trying to address stormwater issues townwide, and we're going to deal with them as we can. And certainly there are certain areas of town that have issues, and Dave is well aware. And he's, you know, got Rick Seibel on board as well to assist him with the history of what's been going on in town. So I'm confident over time we will address some of these issues.
Okay, and last call for any additional public comments or questions. Jeremy, you have none on the YouTube channel or?
No, sir.
Zoom chat, okay. Motion to close. I move that we close the public comment period. The second public comment period. After this, there will be no further questions or comments from the public.
Second.
Thank you, Chriso. All in favor of closing the public comment? Second time. Chriso, Anita, Mark, and Matt. Very good. Thank you. And myself, that's unanimous. So we close the public comment period. Now is the time for the board deliberation. We'll go through the approval criteria. I think
And I would just, you know, John Hanson did put together a good packet that kind of goes through the approval criteria. Again, the burden is on them, but he did to prove that they meet the standards. I think he did. I read through all of these. I think he did provide some good information. So you do have to review each one of these standards and find that it meets a standard for a reason. So if you can just move forward on that. And I think if you used the applicant's materials that they provided along with the plans for your support to that, I think you should be in a good place.
And thank you. And to preempt Jeannie's useful reminders, when making a motion, always please mention that you relied on the application itself and the information provided by the applicant and Jeremy at the hearing. So the first one up for review is preserve and enhance the landscaping. Is there any board comment on that? Or discussion?
Again, this is a good time to use your zoning ordinance or that information I sent to you yesterday, or Architect Hanson's materials that he included, because he did detail what the standard was, and then he did detail how he believes he meets the standard. So
Yeah,
usually,
I'll go ahead and read the standard. Thank you, Jeremy. The landscape shall be preserved in its natural state insofar as practical by minimizing tree removal, disturbance of soil, and by retaining existing vegetation during construction. After construction is completed, landscaping shall be designed and planted to define, soften, or screen the appearance of off-street parking areas from the public right-of-way and abutting properties and/or structures, and to minimize the encroachment of the proposed use on neighboring land uses.
Well, I'd like to say, Ethan,
Yes, Anita.
that I seem to recall, I'm not looking at the plan right now, but it's, there are three pretty far along in terms of growth trees that the parked cars will be facing, that they indicated that they will do their best to retain. I think they're going to have to take one out, and the others, they're going to do their best to save, in spite of the fact that the paving is going to be encroaching further towards those trees. So I applaud them in those efforts and appreciate that they will do their best to keep those trees there if possible.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would add, just so everyone knows, what's on this plan is once you approve this, becomes the approved plan. If one of those trees dies or something happens, Dr. Medina would have to replace that tree. We're not going to obviously have to have him replace a 10-inch maple in kind. But if a tree does die, he will have to replace it because this is the latest dated plan that will get approved.
Thank you, Jeremy, for that reminder.
Yeah.
Quick question on process. Is it my recollection that we need a motion that they've met each of the criteria?
Yeah.
So
And then you're basing your finding
right, so
on.
I'll make a motion that the applicant has met the first criteria based on the information provided in their application on page 3 of that document.
Thank you. Do we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I'm going to go around and roll call the vote. Mark Siegenthaler?
Yay.
Aye. Yay. Okay. Matt Siegel?
Yes, to preserve and enhance the landscape.
Very good. Chriso?
Aye.
Anita?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. That's 5-0. That criteria is deemed satisfied. We will move on then to number 2, erosion control. Filling, excavation, and earth moving activity shall be carried out in a way that keeps erosion and sedimentation to a minimum, including preservation and protection of natural vegetation where possible. B, keeping duration of exposure of disturbed soil so to as short a period as possible and stabilizing the disturbed soils as quickly as practicable. C, use of temporary vegetation or mulching to protect exposed critical areas during development. D, use of debris basins, sediment basins, silt traps, or other acceptable methods to trap the sediment from stormwater runoff. E, no storage of filled materials within 50 feet of the banks of any stream, intermittent or perennial or water body. And F, no removal of topsoil from any lot except for that removed from areas to be occupied by buildings, paving, or other surfaces that will not be revegetated. Any discussion on that?
This would be not be the time to talk about storm drainage, just so you know.
Right. We're talking specifically
Just
erosion control here. Yep. And you can see, of course, in the application that John has addressed the erosion control under number 2 there.
I would make a motion that the applicant has met the criteria based on the plan submitted on page 3 of their plan.
Do I get a second on that?
I would second Chris's motion.
Okay, second from Matt. I will go around and take roll call vote again. Chriso?
Aye.
Anita?
I did not see the handling of the erosion control in the plan. I must have missed that, or
I can read it if you would like.
Sure. Mhm.
It's item 2. Existing natural vegetation will be preserved and protected. Where possible, temporary vegetation or mulching will be provided to protect exposed areas during development. Silt fencing, hay bales for sediment basins, and silt traps will be used. No storage of fill within 50 feet of streams or water bodies will occur. No topsoil will be removed from the site.
Okay, aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Chriso. Mark
Aye.
and Matt.
Yes, aye.
Okay, then that's an aye for me, so 5-0. Moving on to number 3, relationship of the proposed building.
Ethan, you got a question really quick from Andy?
I just wanted
Oh.
to comment for Anita. The approval criteria in the plan is actually on page 10 of that binder that was emailed out. So that's where you'll find all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
Number 3 is relationship of the proposed building to environment and neighboring buildings. The physical placement of proposed buildings and structures on the site shall fit harmoniously with the terrain of the site and with neighboring buildings and or structures, taking into account the bulk, location, and height of the buildings or structures and such natural features as slope, soil type, and drainage ways. The proposed buildings or structures shall not interfere unreasonably with the solar access of existing buildings or adjacent parcels. Any discussion on this one?
I'll make a motion that the applicant has met the criteria as outlined in his plan.
Second.
Okay, and then we will go around again. I have a motion and a second. That the applicant has met this criteria number 3. And I will go around. Anita,
Aye.
Chriso,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and it's an aye for me. That's 5-0. Criteria number 3 deemed satisfied. Next is number 4, vehicular access, parking and circulation. I'm not going to read every little bit of this one, but the proposed site layout should provide for safe access to and egress from the public and private roads. Any exit driveway shall be so designed as to provide the following minimum site distance measured in each direction as measured from the point at which the driveway meets the public and private right of way. And you can see there is a chart there. I guess if we know that that's probably 25 miles per hour, right? So it's 175, or maybe it's 30, 210.
And this is not a new entrance, Ethan, either.
Entrance, yeah.
Oh, that's not even new. Right. Gotcha. Thank you. The street serving the site shall be adequate to carry the anticipated traffic, and the site plan shall locate points of access to avoid hazardous conflicts with existing turning movements and flows, and pedestrian ways shall be safely separated from vehicular traffic.
I would just also remind you that Dave St. Laurent, and just mention this probably in your motion, that Dave St. Laurent, the Public Works Director, reviewed this, and he indicated that the existing roads can handle any proposed increase in traffic. And we got no negative comments from the police department either.
And do we have a letter on that, Jeremy?
Yes, sir.
From Dave, so that should probably be entered into the record as well.
Please. And that is what I read to you earlier.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I will move that we enter the record from Dave St. Laurent into the record, demonstrating no problems with the road capacity, and also for the what's upcoming drainage and stormwater issue.
There are 4 more too, 4 more letters from department heads.
Right.
Oh, okay. We have letters from all of them. Okay.
Just signing off with no concerns.
Okay. And the other 3 from the fire, police, and what am I missing?
Wastewater.
Wastewater. expressing no concerns, and those should be entered in as well. Can I get a second on that one?
Yes, a second.
Thank you, Matt. And taking a roll call vote, Matt,
In favor, yes, accepted.
all in favor, so Mark,
Yes. Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
and Chriso.
Aye.
Okay, and I for me, so those letters will be entered into the record. So then on number 4, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion that the applicant has met the criteria as described in their plan and supported by letter from the Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Chriso. Do I have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Chriso,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Matt,
aye.
and that's an aye for me. That's a 5-0. Criteria number 4 deemed satisfied. Moving on then to number 5, surface water drainage. Adequate provision shall be made for surface drainage so that removal of storm waters will not have an unreasonably adverse effect on neighboring properties, downstream water quality, soil erosion, or the public storm drain system. Whenever possible, on-site absorption of runoff water shall be used with minimized discharges from the site. Drainage facilities shall be designed for a 25-year storm frequency. Any discussion on that one? Okay,
Remember, this is where we would like to include a condition
Right.
about Dave St. Laurent, what he had to indicate about the drainage easement or the easement to maintain that sewer line and to connect a possible catch basin.
So Chriso, do you want to make a motion with the condition?
That's what I was thinking.
You're my man, Mr. Rowe.
Okay. Yeah, right. He's really on a roll, but Matt, I like how you gently prodded him along.
We have a system going here. He slips me $20, I prod him, and we make this meeting go
If it
way
ain't
long.
broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Coffee's on Matt.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I will happily make a motion that the applicant has met the conditions with the caveat that, as was discussed earlier, the Public Works may need to add a catch basin in the public way and have an easement to that drainage line. Is that sufficient?
I think we want to say specifically conditioned on.
Or condition of approval?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. So
Second?
do I have a second?
Well, I have to. Wait. Chriso, thank you.
Okay, and again, roll call vote. So all in favor, I'm going to go to Matt.
Yes, as stated by Chriso, with the condition of approval with the easement and the catch basin.
Great. Mark,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Chriso,
Aye.
and that's an aye for me. That's number 4, or I'm sorry, that's 5-0. And what number are we on there?
5.
5.
5 is satisfied. And moving on then to number 6, I think we have public utilities. The development shall not impose an unreasonable burden on sewers and storm drains, water lines, or other public utilities. No new utilities shall be sized and existing utilities upgraded to adequately handle the demands of the development. And I would just make sure to express, Jeremy, that Dave's letter does address this matter and says that it will not unduly burden the sewers and storm drains.
With the conditions that we outlined a second ago. So I would include that
Right,
time too.
right.
I will make a motion
Look at this.
that the applicant has met the criteria with the supporting letter from the Department of Public Works, but also with the condition as mentioned regarding condition number 5 on surface water drainage.
That sounds good. Jeannie, is that good enough for you?
Yay, Chriso.
Yeah, we like this, right?
We like this.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Very good. Mark, in favor? Matt,
Yes, with the condition of approval as stated by Chriso.
Anita,
Yes,
Chriso,
Aye.
and I am also in favor. Aye. So that will satisfy number 6, public utilities, having been met with the condition that there may be a need for a public easement to maintain the catch basin and the pipe. Number 7, special features of development. I'm going to skip. It is not applicable to the application. We don't have any special features to this development.
Well,
Does that need to be done by motion?
By motion.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make a motion on that, but it's not a.
All right, Mark, your turn to make a motion, so we get to hear another voice.
I don't want to break Chriso's stride.
Mr. Rowe, would you like to, this is your first non-applicable motion.
I'm very excited.
This is moving up from the zoning board to the planning board. This is cool.
I'm just trying to give diversity here to all our 3 viewers out there on YouTube.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We appreciate that.
I would make a motion that there are no special features and thus this is not applicable.
All right. Do I have a second?
second.
Oh,
All right, Anita with the second. I will take the vote. Chriso,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Matt,
And I will say again, special features of development are non-applicable. Thank you.
and it's an aye for me as well. That's 5-0. Finding number 7, special features of the development not applicable to the application. 8, exterior lighting. We had some testimony on this one. All exterior lighting shall be designed and shielded to avoid undue adverse impact on neighboring properties and rights of way. I believe we discussed that there would be an opportunity here for a condition on meeting performance standards and complying with the dark sky ordinance or
Dark sky compliant features.
dark sky compliant features. Chris, you got
Fixtures.
all that language? Fixtures.
Well, I didn't know if Anita wanted this one.
Oh, that sounds truly good.
Yeah. So, got to get the phraseology of this right.
It's not,
Get me started, Chriso. Get me
I would-
started and I'll finish it.
Make a motion that the applicant has met the criteria with the condition
With
that
the
all
condition,
lighting
right.
will be modified to comply with the dark sky fixtures ordinance.
Well, we don't have an ordinance on it, Chris.
Oh, sorry, or not
Dark sky compliant fixtures
fixtures.
shall
And
comply
meeting
with,
performance standards.
and shall comply with the performance standards.
I love the way you did that, Chriso.
Nita, you can second it.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
You got that one, Jeannie?
Yep.
Oh,
All right, we have a motion and a second. Mark Siegenthaler,
Aye.
Matt Siegel,
aye, with the condition of dark sky compliance and meeting the performance standards.
very good. Anita,
I was a condition that of the dark sky compliance and meeting performance standards and changing the lighting as was discussed in the site plan review.
okay, and Chriso,
Aye.
and it's an aye for me. That's 5-0. That one, number 8, exterior lighting deemed satisfied by the application.
Do you-
Number 9.
Excuse
Oh,
me, but do you want to add, Anita, your comment about the lighting on the sign into
Into
it's
the
up to
vote.
you.
Yeah,
No.
well,
I wouldn't redo the motion. I'd just do a separate sign
Uh,
part.
I think we
okay.
did in her comment about relocating the site.
But it's not part of the condition of approval. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Want to amend your motion, Chriso, to include that really quick?
I will amend my motion to include that condition.
Does anybody want to amend their vote? I'm assuming that we can just keep that original vote and everybody is on board with that. Great, thank you. Number 9 then is emergency vehicle access. Provisions shall be made for the convenient and safe emergency vehicle access to all buildings and structures at all times, including 20-foot wide fire lanes at locations as may be recommended by the fire department. I will again remind.
Mr. Chair, Anita has a question.
Thank you. My question is whether with number 9, have we completed this approval and also this meeting? If not, if there's more to go, I was wondering whether an alternate could step in for me at this point. If this is the last vote, then.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for an alternate to jump in for you, Anita, right now. I mean, we're almost done, and I think you've got to approve the project holistically at the very end.
Okay.
We're winding down.
Pretty close.
Yeah, we're trying to move through this quickly. And this one, I will just remind the board that we have letters from both
Police and fire.
police and fire with no concerns.
Okay.
Crystal, you got a motion at hand?
I do have a motion. I will make a motion that the applicant has met the criteria based on their plan with supporting letters from both the fire department and police department.
And I will
Thank
second.
you. Second from Matt. We'll get the vote. Anita?
Aye.
Chriso?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. Criteria number
Ethan,
9.
Ethan, let's do 10, 11, and 12 in one motion that they aren't applicable. How's
I was
that?
just going to make that motion.
Thanks,
Neil and
Jeremy.
Chriso's one step ahead of you, but we've got them all non-applicable. So go ahead.
I'm a
Chriso.
fan of Robert's rules and all that good stuff. I will make a motion that Articles 10, 11, 12 are not applicable to this application.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, we have a second. Go ahead, Anita,
Aye.
Chriso,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and Matt.
Aye.
Okay, we've satisfied all the criteria that apply. There are 2 conditions. The lighting and the stormwater right-of-way easement. I think we have to just do a formal approval of the entire project as a whole. So Crystal, you want to take a stab at that one?
Those 2 conditions.
I will make a motion to approve the revisions to the site plan for Seasons of Smiles dated February 5th, 2021, with the conditions mentioned earlier being modifications to lighting on the sign and stormwater drainage issues as may need to be addressed.
Let's include a revised plan dated April 7th, 2021.
As per the revised plan dated April
7,
2021.
Thank you.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second from Matt Siegel. So Anita,
Aye.
Chriso,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Okay, and myself, that's unanimous. The application is approved. And thank you to the applicant and to the board for your service. And we will now close down this portion of the hearing. And that's it for that. So Jeremy, we're gonna, the second item on the agenda. Or
Thank you,
third
John.
item,
Thank you,
yes.
Dr. Medina.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck,
You are
Jeremy.
excused unless you want to stick around for very non-exciting business.
How many copies of the plan signed would you like, Dr. Medina?
I think all we really need is 1 copy.
Just one? Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you both.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Next
Thank you.
item.
Next item on the agenda is the workshop for sea level rise climate change that we've been discussing. And Jeremy has a proposal he'd like to present to the board as far as an approach to handling this issue. So I will yield the floor over to Jeremy.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I think everyone can tell, and Anita, this will be quick. And Ethan, it'll be quick, so you can get long grain. All right, so
That sounds good.
I was
You gonna
that,
give us
that is
everybody?
so cruel. Jeremy,
It
that
is.
is just not, that is not
Are you
fair.
getting some for
It-
everybody?
Right,
No,
exactly.
No, that's for someone who makes all the motions gets to buy us a drink after.
all right.
Wait.
Perfect. Okay, here we go. Ready? So I think everyone can realize and recognize when we've been trying to tackle climate change and sea level rise in our comp plan or in our zoning ordinance, it's been a very, I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot to get into and a lot to dig into. And it's a lot for us, a lot for me to do and a lot for you as a lay board to do and try to really get your head around this. And so today I reached out to the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission. Normally a community like Camden would reach out to the Regional Planning Commission that serves the community or the county. We do not have a Mid-Coast Regional Planning Commission anymore. It went defunct a couple of years ago, unfortunately. McEd is trying to fill in that gap. They don't have a lot of oomph to do that right at the present time. So I reached out to Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission, who works with all of the towns in Southern Maine, York, Ogunquit, I mean, all of those towns. And there's a woman down there, Abby Sherwin. She's an expert statewide on climate change and sea level rise. She's assisted a lot of communities on this. She actually helped Vinyl Haven do some of their climate change and sea level work. I spoke with the Director of Land Use Planning at the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission today about whether we could, they could assist us in this effort. He was very hopeful he can and he will. They will be able to assist us. They are going to be reaching out to the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, which handles the state's municipal planning program. Some of the material I sent to you previously, a few weeks ago or a month ago, came from them on sea level rise and climate change and comp planning. Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission, hopefully, in all likelihood, will be getting some funding from the state to assist the town of Camden with working on comp plan to address sea level rise and climate change. So we don't have to go down all of these rabbit holes ourselves. They've done this a lot. Abby's an expert in this field, well recognized in New England to addressing this stuff. So it is our hope, I spoke with the town manager about it today, it's our hope that they will assist us short with. I mean, I will say in talking with them today, this has taken a couple of years to address in a lot of these communities because the issues are so significant. So some things may not happen overnight, but it is a good plan moving forward for the town of Camden to work with the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission. Likely it will not cost anything for the town to assistance. So that's what I wanted to share. I just did not feel it's necessary to continue this kind of, how are we going to do it? What are we going to do? Who's going to tackle what? It's a big nut to crack. And I'd rather work with an entity that's done it in a lot of communities and guided them through this process. So that being said, there will be no workshop or discussion on this issue tonight. I will continue to send you, I have good information on, resilience.
Can I back it up just a little bit, Jeremy?
Yes, sir.
I certainly appreciate your perspective on that, but I do think it's a decision for the board, whether or not we, approve of this process going forward and, wish to do that. Isn't that sort of correct?
I'm not certain it's actually that, but if you want to weigh in on it, whether we should do this or not, I think you're more than welcome. I mean, we would be seeking
I would just, basically what I'm saying is I would like to give the board an opportunity to ask you questions, okay?
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
Rather than just saying this is how we're doing it, that we say this is something that I'm proposing, and then it's up to the board to decide whether this is how we would like to proceed.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy on that? Does it sound like a good way forward for the board? I mean, we certainly did talk about not reinventing the wheel. Mark, do you have something?
Well, yeah, I think that's a good point, and Jeremy points that out too. It's not reinventing the wheel, and it's dealing with people that have been through this numerous times. I like the concept.
Okay, good. And Anita?
I really appreciate, Jeremy, that you've reached out to these experts and are bringing them in. This is something that I was hoping that Camden would do, and that I did not really feel that we had the expertise to approach this problem. So I'm hugely relieved, and I would appreciate taking this route.
That's great. Anyone else have any comments?
I'm sure
Mr.
Pat's
Siegel?
relieved.
Siegel? Matt Siegel?
No, I would just agree with both Mark and with Anita in terms of the approach, and I appreciate what Jeremy has done. We spoke earlier today on this, that there are many experts in the state that we can certainly benefit from their knowledge and experience, and it will help us move forward efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, and I've checked in and on their website, and Abby is a NOAA Coastal Management Fellow with the Maine Coastal Program and Geologic Survey. Seems eminently qualified to assist with this. Pat, do you have anything to add?
No, but now that I'm thinking of it, so what role would we be playing, Jeremy? Anything, or that's to be determined?
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's going to be, we're going to be working with Abby on this. Yeah, you know, not going to be, she's not going to just go off and do it. It will be a process, and certainly the planning board is going to be in the middle of it.
So any changes to the comp plan would come through us. Any changes to zoning ordinances would be reviewed and through us. So she's going to work with us, workshop with us, possibly to provide some suggestions of where we can best address and make the most hay in the time that we have, and then we get to decide whether that's the path we want to choose.
And is there still a due date of August? I thought it was, if anything was to get out onto a November ballot for the public.
That date's set in stone. I mean, we'll see if we'll be able to really have. I know there's a lot of hope we would have a good. Like I said, it's taken communities 2 years to really go through this. There's a lot in it, and maybe we were being a little optimistic. But if there are some changes that we can make in our zoning ordinance currently, that we could somehow finagle that the comp plan supports it, I think we can move some things forward. But overall, a good comp plan update on climate change and sea level rise will take some time. I don't know if it'll get done before August, to be honest with you, Pat.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to rush it. It's a topic. It impacts a lot of different areas. It impacts a lot of different property owners. And there needs to be, I mean, I don't think anything we do in Camden can be done or should be done quickly or in the cover of darkness, if you will. I mean, it needs to be very transparent. And I mean, voters expect that.
Right. And I think that's important as well. And I do think there will still be opportunity, of course, through the voting process for the public to be involved, but also we will be setting up workshops, I think. Is that right, Jeremy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there will still be workshops that are open to the public, and the public will be invited. We'll just have to wait on Jeremy to give us a timeline on when that can happen. And I think from my perspective, and I did speak with Jeremy about this briefly, but I think it would be great to have this on a non-official business night where we can set aside a few hours to have a workshop where the public can be involved and not have to sit through a couple site plan applications or that sort of thing. And then we can just focus on this one issue and work on it in that manner rather than trying to tack it on to the end of meetings. And I'd be interested if anybody else has any comments on that, but I want to get to Andy and see if he has any comments.
No, I'm just wondering, you know, for impending projects, I know Anita had brought up the town landing when we discussed this before, how they'll get handled if we have a longer timeline on, you know, finishing this analysis and updating the comp plan.
So just so you know, there's no money budgeted for public landing work this next year.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be too concerned about that right now, Andy.
And it doesn't mean we still can't prioritize issues. You know, if there are things that we think that we can address, we can prioritize those in the early workshopping. Christo, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that this whole project sounds like, this approach sounds great because it's also, it allows us to do this holistically with the rest of mid-coast communities. And and not, as others said, not reinvent the wheel, but also like it's not like we create a ordinance and then Rockport says, oh, well, too bad. And it stops.
Well, it is not the Mid-Coast.
It will be just us right now.
It will be just us.
It will be, but I'm saying the more that we do communally, and if we're bringing islands
Right.
in, the more
it's
that we do
it's linking up with the southern coast, really, is what it is. Which is I think also, still to your point.
But the more resources that are shared, like the more of this that has happening as a region, as a state, the better.
Yeah. Anita, anything else to add?
You're on mute. Oh.
No, I don't have anything to add, but it's highly tangential. Maybe it's a message to Jeremy with regard to the planning of the town landing. How will we learn when plans are going forward with regard to that, or any kinds of design plans, or anything is happening in that regard? How will we find out?
There will be lots of notice on this, Anita. We're talking about possible changes to our downtown TIF to include sea level rise and climate change issues on the landing and on the park. All those issues, our TIF's going to need to be tweaked. So there's going to be a lot of discussion about this in the community. It's not going to happen without a lot of openness and community involvement. So the board will definitely be, I'll keep you guys in the loop. Nothing's gonna move forward without public input. Okay.
I think I've given everybody an opportunity to comment. So it sounds like that's going to be our approach moving forward. Jeremy will engage and let us know what a schedule looks like as far as when we might have a meeting or a workshop where we can start to address these issues. I would like to just say, from my perspective, we still want to keep this on the front burner, recognizing that it may be a slow process, but no time like the present to get started.
I have one more comment on climate change and sea level. The town of Camden is again, we're benefiting from a project that the University of Maine Cooperative Extension grant and the state is working on with Esperanza. Met her when we had Lauren Cafe here. Esperanza lives in Camden, works for Cooperative Extension on this issue. The town of Camden was chosen again to be one of these 10 municipalities that's working with the state and the university on climate change. They're doing I think it's a 2 or 4 hour, I think it's a 4-hour workshop on this issue. They're allowed 2 people from the municipality to be involved in it. I'm one of them. I have not spoken to the select board on this issue or the town manager on it. If it's a member of the planning board, I was kind of hoping that the chair could at least participate in that with me, since they do have one more seat, unless one of the select board members of the town manager wants to be involved. I was hoping Ethan would do that.
Okay. Sure.
Sound good?
Absolutely.
Perfect. That's it. 6:30.
Okay. Hey, not bad for our schedule. We're going to go ahead and adjourn. I need a motion. And Krista, you've been doing so well. This is the best motion of the night. Oh, wait, Anita, I thought you wanted out.
You stepped up.
You're your own worst enemy.
Ethan, Mark's got a question.
Before we
Okay, I didn't see it. Got it. Mark, go ahead.
Business.
Yeah, so we need to sign this plan. So I think we need to figure out how that's all going to happen. Jeannie?
Right. I'll do the same thing. I'll leave 2 copies in the
Conference room.
in the French conference room. And you can come in the Washington Street entrance and go on in through. And I'll try and have them there before noon tomorrow. So whenever you want to stop by.
And that would be just those that approve the project tonight.
Just the 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, speaking of that, the last couple of projects, have they been signed, or do we need to sign those too?
You do. It's going to take me a little bit to line up. If you want to wait, and do them all at the same time. I just have to go through, pull out the plans and note who voted on those particular plans. So there are probably 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, I would think, Jeannie, I would think that Dr. Medina and Dr. Hanson, or Dr. Medina and John Hanson want theirs to get signed right off. Maybe we can get that one available tomorrow, potentially, or early next week. And then maybe by the end of next week, we can have the other ones available for signature. Does that sound good?
That's a deal.
I think it's a good deal.
Sounds good to me.
Motion to close.
That's Anita.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, we have a unanimous decision to adjourn the meeting. Thank you everyone again for your service, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Ethan.
you. Good job.
Have a good
Ethan.
night, everyone.
Thank
Nice
you.
job.